Hey guys, welcome to Kiwi Classics and Customs. Look at what we got here today. 64 Oldsmobile 98. Now, a couple of months back we did a video on Steve's one, which is the 63 Oldsmobile 98. So this is kind of cool. They're very similar, but there's also lots of differences. So with the help of Steve, we're going to try and kind of cover that as just what's different. But yeah, a lot of subtle changes, but essentially the same car. Let's start under the hood and see what we got. And you can voice it over there, Steve, and tell us some of the things you're seeing. Now, this is not a factory AC car like your one. No, it's the same engine, isn't it?
Same engine, 394, 4-barrel. Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's a luxury sport with no AC.
Yeah, maybe it was. It's got Michigan tags on it, so maybe it was from a colder area. They just didn't feel like they needed the AC, maybe. Who knows? We just didn't want to spend the extra. Who knows? But yeah, super clean. Well, I mean, it's dirty. It's been sat for a long time. It belonged to the customer who's got it now. Was his dad's car, so he's just in here. It's got no brakes whatsoever. So that was exciting, driving it across the yard and into here and actually getting it to a halt. When it's this big, it's a little nerve-wracking. But is this grille the same, or is that different?
The grille is different for 64. Mine's got like 2 bars, where that's got 1 bar.
The 1 bar, okay. So really just a facelift from 63 to 4 as far as the chrome grille goes.
Yes.
Same double latches here, because the hood's so huge, they got to mount it with just 1 pin. So moving around the side, this is where I noticed the big differences was, and more the back of the car. If you guys go back and look at the video of Steve's car, his is a 4-window, and this model is referred to as either they call it a 6-window because of this 6th window, or 3 and 3. They also call this window an opera window car. So they added this little window in here. They made a little skinny pillar here. Steve's one's the pillar's like this big and comes up like that. That was supposed to be kind of a bit more opulent, a bit more luxurious. They did that 6-window option with Cadillac too, I believe, around that era. The other big difference that I noticed was the side skirts, or fender skirts, which for me, compared to Steve's one, it's made the back end a little more blocky. And it's all personal preference. I mean, that's a good looking car. I don't know they made an upgrade with adding the fender skirts for my taste, but that's just me, that's just my taste. Moving around, they changed the tail lights. Your tail lights start up here, don't they, Steve?
They start up there, and they have somewhat, if you would want to say the word, a fin in the tail light.
Oh, okay. So there's a chrome backbone sort of on the tail light. Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch my own video to have a closer look at yours. Shame you haven't got it here today, but just chrome and bling and cast, just for Africa, and that's aluminum, I think. Yeah, it's aluminum. But all down the bottom here, that's all cast. All this stuff here is cast. Just no expense spared. Giant trunk, that's the same as the 63s. Different hubcap trims. But for me, it's amazing the difference it made doing this opera window and adding the fender skirts. The 2 cars this looks a lot more elegant, shall we say, a little bit more, I'm not sure whether refine's the right word, but the whole opera thing, it looks a little bit more like that, a little more gentrified. Your Steve's one has a little more muscle kind of to it. So it really depends what you like. The condition, I mean, let's look at the interior. The interior is just to die for. Quite a few differences here. They've got, just the weight of these handles, these door grabs. It's just amazing. And all this, you got grab handles here, little pockets here to put your, for the ladies to put their makeup in, little powder packs or whatever.
And the ladies wore a lot of gloves.
Gloves, yes,
Yes.
of course, right, that's true. Now this seat is a 6-way power seat. Your one's a 4-way, isn't it?
4-way.
4-way.
Yep.
So they upped their game a little bit in lots of little subtle areas. But you know, you're jumping into a beefy car when you look at this, the footwell here, and then the sheer width of this beam that is the side of the car. I love it. It was closed harder than I needed to. And again, just gorgeous condition. Like the seats just starting to fail a little there, just on that edge there, but really really not much. We've yet to figure out what this is for. Not sure whether this is because it does have a tow hitch on it, so I don't know whether this is some way of, reminds me of like a trailer brake. Like I've got a Dodge truck which has got a trailer brake, and it doesn't really look like that, but it goes under the dash, and I'm just wondering if that's what it is, but I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong there. Yeah, little wind up vent windows. Yeah, but I mean the steering wheel's just got no cracks in it. Dash pad's got no cracks in it. Where it's lived, I'd say most of its life has been garaged, because the sun has not beaten this car up at all. It's not been like, even the lenses in the interior light, those lenses are not like, usually the heat when they're out in the sun, you know, for several decades, the sheer heat that builds up in the roof bakes those clear white lenses, and they crumble and fall apart. But even sort of stuff like this, these rubbers here are, you know, they're showing a little bit of age, but really for a completely unrestored car, this is in great shape. It's just nice to see. So we're going to get it up in the air, do some brakes on it. Trust me, you don't want to be driving this with brake. I mean, this had like 0 brake. So yeah, let's get that done. We'll show you around underneath, and back in a second. Right, so we've been busy. Got all the new brakes on. The drums were pretty scored all round. So we got some brand new drums, new shoes, new wheel cylinders, new hoses. We just went right through it. It was, you could have run them if you had to, if you couldn't get them, but really they were just scored up, you know, bad enough that, you know, it needed replacing. So fortunately we got those through Cantor. Cantor had them. They weren't too badly priced. You know, not as cheap as a Mustang drum, but hey, you know, they don't sell as many of them. But yeah, let's have a look at the rest of the car. I don't know if there's a Michigan plate on the back of it which is tagged like it's 78. So I think it's seen a little bit of salt, which kind of shows when you look at it. We got a bit, you know, a bit of surface rust, a little bit of undercoatings flaking off, but it's not bad. It's really not bad. We got a little bit of bubbling out here, a little bit of bubbling out here. So it does need a little bit of love. So yeah, it's, you know, I mean, this it's so similar to Steve's car, the 63. It's an interesting comparison because the paint's a lot better on this car, but it's suffering a little more rust. So yeah, it's always a trade-off, isn't it? But it's solid all up in here. Like all the lower quarters are, you know, when I say a little bit of rust, I do mean a little bit of rust. This is all good here. Same on the other side. If you tuck them in here, maybe a little bit of swelling between the joins, you know, a little bit of size. But, you know, there's no rivets, there's no, you know, bits of old garden shed pot riveted in there. This was kind of interesting. We've been trying to figure out what this is, or was. These are just one on each side. It's almost kind of has a bit of a tramp bar kind of connection looking to it. But I don't know why you would have it when it's already a 4-link, you know, factory 4-link. Maybe it was, I can't imagine anyone putting like an anti-hop bar on a car like this. It doesn't seem like a car you'd race from stoplight to stoplight, but I guess they were there for a reason. Just don't know what it is, but if you guys got an idea, be sure and stick it in the comments. But moving forward, Yeah, this is very similar to Steve's car. If you see any, Steve's behind the camera, but if you see any differences, do tell us, Steve, like as you're looking. Again, a bit of surface rust. When you look up in the chassis rail here, you know, it's scaling in here, and you know, we've got some scale going on. It's not terrible, but you know, it's there. It's not to a point, you know, of needing any real repairs, but it does need the brakes putting on it. Like it could do with being really cleaned underneath, hitting it with some rust converter and, you know, and some fresh undercoat and stuff like that to put the brakes on what's going on. But the floors are solid. We don't, you know, maybe a little bit. Yeah, see, this is kind of what's happening. This is the beginnings of having holes in your floor where the moisture gets trapped underneath the undercoat that's lifting. But there's no holes, there's no rust through, which is, you know, that's pretty darn good. If it lived in Michigan, it really didn't. It's seen some salt, but really not much. Really not much. This is that Slim Jim transmission, just like your one, isn't it, Steve? Same transmission.
Yeah, same transmission, Roto 10.
And you know, with the transmission mounts up by the bell housing, and this all just the whole length, pretty much the whole length of the transmission is just hanging, which is kind of out there. Not convinced that's a great idea, but it worked, you know. So yeah, here's all our new brakes up the front, new hoses. Oh, that was something I wanted to look at, that speedo drive, that weird speedo drive that these things have got. Yeah, there's really yeah, you know, all these original little plastic shields. I mean, some of this rubber's showing its age and some of it's not. It's showing 78,000 miles. I suspect it's probably been around the clock. There's some really heavy build up on the ball joints, where the ball joints are hiding under the old grease. But it's really a pretty solid car. So yeah, let's zoom on this. This is kind of one of the things that amazed me with this, is if you come really close in here on this hub nut, look at all the multiple points, and because you can't put a split pin through it, Oldsmobile came up with this, and there's this clip goes in the groove here and locks it. It's a little bit of a trick to get in. Okay. I haven't actually adjusted this yet, so I'll just pop it in there if I can get it in. Yeah, and that's what locks it in place. So and then this is your speedo, but I mean, imagine the cost of making that nut. It's just crazy. And this is your speedo, actual speedo cable, and which runs into here. You got a little square drive in there, which obviously this attaches to the hub. Whenever you move, it rolls, and that's what turns your speedo cable. Now, apparently, I did a little short on this saying, what on earth is this? And a couple of people come back and said, this little brass widget that's in there, it's spiral looking thing, and there's one on the other hub as well. Apparently that's an anti-static device. It's like, really? So yeah, about 3 people commented and said that's what it is, you know, and it's like straight off the Oldsmobile forums. But yeah, that little brass thing that spins in there, and apparently, allegedly, cuts down on static, which yeah is a little wild to me, but hey. So yeah, you just got to get that over the end of the cable, the little square drive, put that home, and that part of this little piece in the center here is what kind of locks that into place. That's why you've got this little funny shaped thing here. Well, it's just a real unique thing. Since putting that short up, apparently Volkswagen does it, Corvair does it. There's a bunch of manufacturers that do this speedo cable. Now, if you come around here, Steve, you can actually see this is the speedo cable here coming through the back of the kingpin or spindle. Up here, goes up through the firewall and straight into the back of the dash cluster. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and the problem you run into is if you go to like a disc brake conversion or something of that, you lose your speedo cable.
If you change your spindle.
Yep.
Yep. I did wonder about that, because I wondered whether you could use like something like a sparker rotor to burn a hole through a regular, you know, the aftermarket spindle. so you could reuse that. But yeah, if anyone's got any bright ideas on how to get, because Steve's got the drop spindles in his one, so he's got no speedo. But if anyone's got a bright idea on getting a hole through, you know, that much spindle off pretty tough metal, drop it in the comments, and Steve would be most grateful. Okay, that's kind of a quick tour around underneath. There's really no horror shows, not a lot to see, just 64 Oldsmobile, you know, battleship. So let's drop it on the ground and go for a cruise and put wheels on. Alright, let's go. Can't hardly even tell it's running.
Oh, it's very quiet.
Very quiet. Oh. And it died. Okay. I suspect it's not getting any accelerator pump action. It has been parked for a long time. So I think we might have to go through the carburetor, but we're just really just testing the brakes out, which, you know, they're certainly there. Considering it's all new and nothing's bedded in yet, they're actually doing pretty good. And it just purrs down the highway. Tyres are a little square. I'm feeling a little bit of a vibration from them. Yeah, it needs a bit of carburetor work, like down the corner. Yeah. So we'll put the carburetor off and give that a clean. Go through that. And already done an oil change on it, so all that's done. But yeah, it's as soon as you jump on it, it wants to die. So, which is usually an indicator that the not sure what that vibration is about. It's stuck. Oh, okay.
Glove box door.
There you go. So it's when you get on the gas, it's stumbling. But that's I mean, who knows? Probably needs spark plugs as well. And you know, it's I'm pretty sure it's still a points car. We really just need to go through and give it a tune-up. You know, go through the carb, go through the electrics, give it a tune-up. You can tell by when it's not stumbling on the carburetor, it's running smooth. You know, there's no major issues with it. It's just suffering from having been parked for a long time. Yeah, no accelerator pump at all, I don't think.
Nah, they're really bad about not pumping.
Yeah, as soon as you get on it, it's a duh. Yeah. Alright. Other than that, it drives beautiful.
Shifting pretty nice too.
Yeah, well, it's struggling a little bit on the shift because it doesn't know whether it wants to accelerate or die. Wow, talk about quiet. I promise we're not actually, this is not a green screen here, this is not a movie going past. We are actually driving down the road. It's super quiet. Alright guys, well that's a little trip down memory lane back to 1964. We've still got some work to do, it's not a done deal yet. But we do have brakes, so you know, at least now we can drive it, you know, we've been able to drive it, find out what other issues it's got. And I think it's just a good thorough tune-up, and it'll be ready to go home. So we're going to get back to the shop, get onto Napa and get some ignition parts coming, and get this baby purring. Alright guys, have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.